What's up, everybody? It's Trey Smith, one half of the Blue Bloods College Game Time podcast, and let's talk about this college hoops matchup we have between the Arkansas Razorbacks and the Oklahoma Sooners. We've got a 9-0 Arkansas Razorback team who's taken some heat this week for a weak non-conference schedule, who's looking for a quality win over a Power 5 opponent who I believe could make some noise down the stretch of conference play and even find themselves in the postseason come March. And then you've got a 7-2 Oklahoma Sooner team who's coming off a very disappointing loss earlier this week to the Butler Bulldogs. They gave up a 24-8 second half run, I think. So there's two things I think we all need to be watching and looking for in this matchup on Saturday. Okay, the game's going to be at 12:30 Central Time. It's at the BOK Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And before we talk about these two things to keep an eye on, you know what I'm going to tell you to do. So go ahead and do it before I tell you. Hit subscribe. Right there. Hit subscribe. All right. Point number one. The chess match between Eric Musselman and Porter Moser. These are two of the most brilliant minds in basketball today. I mean, I think you've got two of the most brilliant offensive and defensive mindsets that could be going against each other. And this isn't the first time these two guys have battled one another. If you'll remember a couple of years ago in the NCAA tournament, when Musselman was at Nevada and Moser was at Loyola Chicago, they faced off in the Sweet 16 in a game that literally came down to like the final possession. Okay, it was a 1 point, I think 68-69, 68-67 type game that ended up, Moser got the upper hand and took his team on that miracle run to the Final Four. Most of you, if you're a college hoops fan, for sure remembers that. But I think it's going to be a chess match. And I think what we need to be watching more specifically is how Moser chooses to attack Musselman's defense. Because if you've been watching the Razorbacks here lately, one of the things we've struggled to defend in the half-court defense is the ball screen. And we're hedging, we're trying to get over the top and hedge, and where we've given up some easy layups, or at least the other night against Charlotte, is when the roll man dives to the basket, the guy who's supposed to be helping the helper in that situation has been rotating over a little late, and we've given up easy layups. Now, I anticipate Musselman's been in the film room all week, and that won't be a problem. And so what Moser's probably going to attack with is, okay, if they're going to get that guy over faster to take away the rim run, then we need to make sure I've got someone on the replace who's wide open for the skip when that guy's coming downhill off the ball screen for a skip, boom, and it being a dead-eye shooter. So I'm curious to see how Moser attacks the defense, because one of our weaknesses from a Razorback perspective has been defending the ball screen. The other thing has been off-ball screens, okay? So Arkansas's defense has been chasing a lot on off-ball screens. And so I'm looking for OU to run a lot of different type of inside cuts Saturday afternoon. Meaning guys coming off the off-ball screens, either curling to the hoop or going back door, because if Arkansas is chasing or overplaying, that's going to be left wide open. And again, if you go back and watch that Charlotte game earlier this week that the Razorbacks played, they gave up some layups on some of those inside cuts where they're curling off, not even an off-ball screen. Sometimes it's just a little rub. Sometimes it's just an exchange on the wing, on the backside wing, and then guy curls, boom, easy layup. So I'm curious to see if Moser has some types of sets and actions drawn up where it's either making Arkansas defend the ball screen or making them defend backside exchanges or backside off-ball screens of that nature with guys running inside cuts to the hoop. Now, where I could see Musselman countering this is one of two ways. I think one, he either gets into the Razorbacks half-court trap, which they've been very successful at this year, creating and causing turnovers, and I'll get more to that on my second point in just a second. But speeding teams up, they've been very good on the offensive and defensive glass, the Razorbacks have, causing havoc, causing turnovers. It feels like our team on the defensive end, when we get into that half-court trap, like we're not thinking as much. We're just flying around playing, and that's where it seems that this team is at its best. So I could see Musselman going to that early in the game, depending on how he's being attacked in the half-court. I also could see him deploying a lineup, say Devo Davis, J.D. Notae, Amude, Tony, and Jalen Williams. Okay, that's a five. That's a lineup of five that you could probably switch everything with. Whether it's a ball screen, a backside screen, an off-ball screen, a backside exchange, like you could probably with that lineup switch everything and not have too many mismatches you find yourself in. There may be one or two, but I think that's your most likely lineup to see switching everything to keep these rim runs and inside cuts from happening, or from the not helping the helper on the ball screen action. So I'm just curious to see that chess match, how it plays out between the two coaches and how Mosher chooses to attack our defense, and then how Musselman adjusts to Mosher's game plan of attack offensively. So number 2, I talked about this in a video last week. I had a Razorback video about the key stat that could lead them to the Final Four: extra possessions. This game is going to come down to extra possessions. It's no secret, the Razorbacks haven't been shooting the ball very well from 3. And depending on the game, how they're shooting from the foul line has been a little iffy. Now, they've kind of, for the most part, hung around that 75 to 80%, and then more importantly, they've shot really well in closing time, in winning time, but they've also had some where they've shot less than 70%. And so how have they been able to compensate for their poor shooting percentage? Well, extra possessions. They, I think, had 15 offensive rebounds the other night against Charlotte, whereas OU gave up 15 offensive rebounds. Arkansas finished their last game earlier this week plus 13 in extra possessions. I think they're still averaging. I'd have to do my calculations of the formula I talked about in the previous video about this. If you want to know what that formula is, go watch it. It's a quick watch, so you won't regret it. In fact, it'll pop up at the end of this video. But Arkansas was plus 13, averaging double digits on the year. And then OU was minus 9 against Butler. So I have a feeling that this game is going to come down to the chess match between Musselman and Mosher, and then the extra possessions. And Arkansas has shown that they can win the extra possession battle all year long. I also think that Arkansas has more depth. I think Arkansas is just a better basketball team this year. So I'm anticipating this game finishing with the Razorbacks winning somewhere between 6 to 10 points. I think it'll be a hard-fought game. I think it'll be a good game, but I think it'll be one of those games where in the end, Arkansas starts to extend their lead, whether it's them making a second-half run or whatever it may be, and then they ended up winning the game probably between 6, 8, 10 points, something like that. But it's going to come down to the chess match. How does Mosher attack Musselman, and then how does Musselman adjust? And then extra possessions. Sooner fans, Hog fans, leave in the comments right now. What do you think is going to happen? Are you going to watch the game? What's your score prediction? Let me know. That's it for me. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.